Hey, what's going on, Guardians? My name is The Black Link, and today is, of course, Thursday, November 19th, 2020. And that, of course, means we have got a new issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog this week at Bungie. This time dropping a lot earlier than we're usually used to getting it. And alongside it, of course, came hotfix 3.0.0.3, which made some major changes to the way Stasis is going to be working, at least if you're a Warlock Shadebinder. There are some pretty heavy nerfs in there. So we're kind of going to do a double whammy video here, cover some of the news available in the TWAB, and then we're going to hop over to the patch notes to cover some of the biggest changes that happened in today's hotfix. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. First things first, of course, this weekend, November 21st is of course the first day of the raid. The new raid, the Deep Stone Crypt, will be launching at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday. And as Bungie is known to do with these things, it's going to have what's called the contest mode active for the world's first race. If you've never heard of the contest mode changes, here's a quick rundown of what exactly it's going to be like on Saturday. So, contest mode will cap all players at 20 power below each encounter for the first 24 hours. Artifact power will also be disabled during contest mode, so you're not going to get any benefit from that either. Your team's power cap goal is going to be 1230 for all the encounters, and being above 1230 will not provide any additional advantage during the fight. Meaning, you need to get yourself up to a base of 1230 if you want to participate in the world's first race, so that you can have the absolute most amount of power you'll be able to use in there for the first 24 hours. So, use these next couple of days to finish out your powerful and pinnacle grinds. Thankfully, Bungie fixed some of those pinnacle issues. We'll be covering that a little bit later. Alright, they go on to state that earlier this week, an issue was discovered where Stasis was doing large, and they mean insanely huge amounts of damage to bosses. The team worked at lightning pace to develop a fix for Destiny 2 hotfix 3.0.0.3, thus preventing impact to the upcoming raid. So if you have seen any of those clips of bosses basically being erased in previous raids by stacking up a bunch of warlocks and using the heavy Shadebinder super attack, well, Bungie finally figured that out and got it pushed out before the world's first race. Really happy to hear about that stuff. Moving on, what is the reward for getting World's First, for being the first fire team to complete the new raid? Well, you actually get some pretty swanky gear from Bungie. The first fire team of 6 to complete the Deep Stone Crypt raid will be declared World's First by Bungie from the Bungie official Twitter account after a verification from their analysis team. And once they finish that verification process and awarded the world's first team, they get this awesome, like, WWE style wrestling championship belt, proving that they were world's first when it came to one of Destiny's raids. That's not the only swag you'll be able to get for completing the raid. There's also going to be a Day 1 raid emblem available for those who complete the raid within the first 24 hours with contest mode active. So even if you don't get World's First, you're still going to have a reward there. Additionally, if you complete the raid by 9 a.m. Pacific time on December 1st, you can unlock a brand new Deep Stone Raid Crypt jacket that will be available on the Bungie store for purchase. And we get awesome pictures of all of that kind of stuff here. So there definitely will be gear for all of you raid heads out there who are looking to get your run in on Saturday or in the days following. But moving on from the raid talk, Bungie covers a bunch of other really interesting stuff in this week's TWAB. We're not going to get to all of it, so of course if you want to read everything, head to the link down in the description box below to read the entire TWAB. But they talk a bit about some of the security changes they've made with Beyond Light. You might have noticed, if you're a free-to-play player, the game now requires SMS verification for free-to-play players who want to access Bungie's high-stakes PvP modes in Destiny 2 on PC. High stakes, of course, being Comp and Trials of Osiris. This is a huge step forward in terms of security for the game, and they're doing this to kind of cut down on the number of people who were hacking and cheating, getting banned, and then starting up another free-to-play account, grinding up to the point where they can actually run trials, and then just hacking all over again. They go through the process for how free-to-play players will be able to verify themselves using SMS and the security and all that kind of stuff, aligned with it. So if you're interested in that, if you are a free-to-play player, those details will be in the TWAB. Make sure you hit that link in the description. Ultimately, I think this is an interesting way to kind of shore up the security of the game. Everybody remembers last season with how rampant the cheating was on PC. Anything to get us away from that, I think, is probably going to be a good change. Next up, Bungie starting a brand new Game to Give 2020 fundraising campaign. This new charity event will be in support of the Bungie Foundation and the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, which benefit sick kids all across the country. And Bungie is officially inviting everyone in the community to help participate. Starting today, they invite all Bungie community members to sign up to host their own Destiny 2 Bungie fundraising stream between December 1st and December 13th. And as a part of this, they're going to have some incredible prizes for everyone who decides to participate in the various fundraising milestones. Starting on Giving Tuesday, December 1st at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, they'll be kicking off a 24-hour streaming marathon with some of your favorite influencers from a variety of channels, including both Twitch and Facebook Gaming. YouTube is conspicuously absent there. They'll have featured live streams taking place throughout the entire 2-week campaign, so make sure you follow @BungieLove on Twitter to receive the latest information about this. And of course, Bungie always gives donation incentives to anyone who wants to help out with these fundraisers. A $25 donation will earn you the 2019 Mist Blossoms emblem and the Gilded Shell Exotic Ghost, in case you missed them last year. A $50 donation will earn you all of the previously mentioned items, plus a brand new Lightkeeper's emblem. While a $100 donation will earn you the 3 previously mentioned items and enter you to win an item from the Bungie prize pool. These prizes will include GameStop and EB Games gift cards, Destiny 2 Beyond Light Digital Deluxe Editions, and Destiny 2 Beyond Light Physical Deluxe Editions. Best of all, of course, 100% of all these donation proceeds go directly to the charities. And all of the in-game digital incentives will be automatically redeemed via donors' Bungie.net IDs and appear in the Destiny 2 Collections tab on or after Tuesday, December 1st. Bungie and this community always knock it out of the park when it comes to these fundraisers, and I, for one, am looking forward to getting started with it. Alright, moving on from there, let's talk about Destiny 2 Hotfix 3.0.0.3, aka the big Warlock Shadebinder nerf update. We're going to go through some of the biggest changes from this very quickly, but if you want a link to the full patch notes as well, it'll also be down in the description box below. First things first, they fixed an issue where the Coriolis Force Fusion Rifle was getting more ammo than intended from ammo bricks. If you ran double Fusion Scavenger, you could pick up 1 ammo brick and get like 19 shots with that Fusion Rifle. They also fixed an issue where the Wither Horde damage debuff wasn't being removed properly, and as such, they've re-enabled Wither Horde in the game. So basically, the burn you were getting from stepping in the Wither Horde stinky puddle, it wasn't going away before, which is why they disabled it. They fixed that. Alright, moving on. Stasis ability changes. This is a meaty section. First off, they fixed exploits with the Warlock Shadebinder super, and the Stasis breakout damage has been reduced from 110 HP to 90 HP. They've adjusted the curve that reduces breakout damage using resilience and increased the damage reduction effect of resilience so that higher tiers of resilience are more valuable, and it caps out at 90 resilience. So basically, when you're breaking out of stasis, you used to take a lot of damage. It would take you right to the red. It's going to deal less damage to you now, and if you stack up your resilience, it'll deal even less damage to you. That's the great way to kind of survive. Run a high resilience build. Alright, next up, the Penumbral Blast Stasis Warlock melee projectile speed has been reduced by 20%, and Penumbral Blast has also had its range reduced from 28 meters down to 16 meters. That is a huge nerf, and we're not done yet. Winter's Wrath, which is the Shadebinder super, has had its duration reduced from 30 seconds down to 24 seconds. Again, really painful there. And the Winter's Wrath light attack, which is, what freezes people, has had its cost reduced. It was 5% per burst, now it's 4.5% per burst. Which, actually, I guess that change is kind of a buff. It means you're gonna use less energy when you're using the light attack there. And the Cold Snap Seeker Grenade, which is ridiculous in PvP, has had its speed reduced by 23%. Big nerf there. In the next section, we hear about changes to the way stasis works against Guardians. The Cold Snap freeze duration has been lowered. It was 4.75 seconds. It's now 1.35 seconds. Huge nerf there. Additionally, the Ice Flare freeze bolt duration has been lowered from 4.75 seconds to 1.35. Again, huge nerf there. And the Penumbral Blast Warlock melee freeze duration has been lowered in the same way. Finally, the Winter's Wrath heavy attack, which is what you use to shatter people, no longer affects players who are not encased. So the way this could work is you could actually just sit there and spam the heavy attack using basically no energy. And it would deal lighter damage to people, it would kind of tickle them, but it would still deal damage. Now, it's not going to deal any sort of damage, I guess, at all, unless that player is encased in stasis. huge nerfs to the Warlock Shadebinder class thus far. Not saying I disagree with a lot of these changes, Shadebinder was definitely a little bit ridiculous, especially in PvP. But a lot of these changes, man, are going to be pretty heavy-handed, especially with the reduction in time for the time flares are frozen. Ooh, hopefully that's going to make PvP a little bit better. Alright, moving on from there, reward changes. They fixed an issue where pinnacle rewards were not dropping at the correct power. Thank you. And they also fixed an issue where several repeatable bounties were providing more EXP than intended. They also fixed an issue with Exodus Crash where the spider tank wasn't spawning. Looking forward to that strike coming back into the Nightfall playlist. And ultimately, that is it for the biggest bits of changes coming in Update 3.0.0.3, or Hotfix 3.0.0.3 as it were. Very good stuff there. Very much looking forward to jumping back into PvP to see if things are a little less egregious now. Now, before we go ahead and end this video, there was one last section of the TWAB that I felt should be covered. Maybe I should put this in its own video. But of course, the notion of sunsetting has been a huge topic of conversation over the last week. You guys have heard from me on the podcast and here on the channel. I'm not a fan of sunsetting. I think my greatest fears with sunsetting were absolutely realized here in Beyond Light. They took away 75% of the weapons and armor and stuff that we were able to use, and now they didn't replace any of it. It didn't feel good, and thankfully they are partially at least addressing that reality here in the TWAB. We get to hear some thoughts from the dev team stating things like infusion caps were intended to help keep D2 evolving and to ensure that every release the new rewards are exciting and relevant to the meta. However, we agree with your feedback that there's currently not enough variety in the world loot weapons available to players this season. I would say, if your goal was to ensure that every release new weapons are exciting and relevant, you didn't do a great job with that with Beyond Light. There aren't nearly enough new weapons that are exciting and relevant to justify the weapons that we've lost. But anyways, they go on to state that to that end, they're adding back in a selection of weapons that will help alleviate the issue. They'll also be watching to see how the landscape changes with the addition of weapons from Season 12 and this week's raid launch. They also agree that getting near cap weapons from random world drops is frustrating. Thus, they are removing those from the pool and are weighting drops more heavily towards newer weapons. So, less of the Moss Epoch and hopefully more of the new rocket launcher. Anyways, here's a list of adjustments to the World Loot Legendary Weapons pool you'll see with their November 24th hotfix. First, they're going to remove all legendary weapons that hit their infusion cap at the end of this season. Ooh. Then they're going to add all of the 7th Seraph weapons from Season 10. Great change. Those weapons were fantastic. And they're going to add all of the Season 11 seasonal and planetary reprisal weapons. Also a good change. And they're going to weigh drop chances so that the newer an item is, the more likely it is to drop. And so there we go, Guardians. Basically, on November 24th, they are going to be flipping the switch back and undoing some of the sunsetting they did for, Season 10 and Season 11 weapons. I think this is a step in the right direction. I would still say sunsetting just shouldn't have been a thing for anything outside of maybe the pinnacle weapons. We all know that's really why Bungie pushed for sunsetting here. But I am happy to see that at least a bit more of the loot pool that we've had within the last year or so is going to be usable, rather than having stuff that, dropped in Season 10, just completely thrown away because we couldn't bring it forward arbitrarily due to sunsetting. I don't think that system has gone over very well in Beyond Light, and I'm happy to see the change there. But alright, Guardians, that's pretty much it for the biggest bits of news contained in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. Real interesting stuff this time around. Very happy we're seeing such rapid changes, especially when it comes to sunsetting. We're getting that change next week. Very happy to see that Bungie was able to fix some things before the raid drop this Saturday, and I cannot wait to dive into the deep Stone Crypt. But alright, Guardians, that's the news, and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. How do you feel about all of this stuff? How do you feel about the raid rewards? How do you feel about the sunsetting changes? Be sure to let me know. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But I'm out for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.